It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielson, Kassian, Gage, and Salas, the shittiest of producers. He is here with us again, and it's all brought to you by CoolBet Canada. Hop online at coolbet.com, sign up, use the bonus code 2GUYS. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit, up to $200. Stay cool, bet responsibly with CoolBets. Stay cool. Bet McDavid and Draisaitl over 1.5 points tonight with CoolBet. That's probably where I would go. We've got lots to get to here. As I mentioned, Gage or Hernan Cast. If you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, leave us a nice, juicy 5-star rating in the Apple Podcast comment section. That would be great. Cast, we had a Battle of Alberta. We had WandaVision on Friday night. What was the highlight of your weekend, buddy?
Probably the Battle of Alberta or Yellowstone, because we watched another couple of Yellowstone episodes.
Oh yeah,
yeah, both those. The hockey game was really fun. I enjoyed that. The first period, I was just basically clawing my eyes out again in pain and frustration. But then it got really fun. They turned it around a little bit. Connor McDavid did Connor McDavid things, and it got a lot better. So that probably, from a watching standpoint, was my weekend highlight.
Well, what episode of Yellowstone are you on? I got to think here, because knowing all the Yellowstones.
It's still early. We're like on episode 6 in season 1 or something. Like still really early. Okay. But stuff is like we're already trying to figure out like where is this going to go? Like what's going to happen? And it's intense.
Gager, highlight of your weekend, buddy. What are you going to go with?
Well, I liked both actually. I enjoyed both. It was fun. I get to watch it with my son, and he comes down and we have a little discussion of what we think is going to happen next and stuff. So that's always good. And I really enjoyed the game. Just like Cass, the first period wasn't the greatest, but I don't expect the Oilers to dominate 60 minutes every game, and I think that's an unrealistic expectation anyways. To the other teams are going to push back. It's a pretty good league by all accounts, and the way they weathered the storm in the first and came back and came from behind, and Connor looking like Connor, and great pass from Leon on that one goal. Just there were some great plays, great saves. I thought both goalies were awesome. It was a fun game to watch. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, nice Battle of Alberta. A little bit of everything for sure. Hernan, how was the post game on Saturday night?
I did pregame that night. So
you did pregame?
Yeah. I switched it up with Connor just to kind of have a night off and just watch the game and relax, have a few brewskis. So he was gracious enough to switch with me. But yeah, I heard a bit of the post game show after, and people were overly happy. I mean, it was such a big 2 points. The way they started was kind of slow. You're like, like well into the second period, you still didn't have a goal, and you're like, are these guys ever going to score again? And but then you saw some shuffling from the head coach there, and it paid off. So yeah, you got to be happy, and I absolutely love the fights too. Like I was saying this on on the other podcast earlier, like Nurse is a strong dude, but you see how strong Lucic is. And like the way he was just kind of moving him around, like that guy's got some holy crap power strength there. And good on James Neal. I thought he did really well in his fight.
Cass, you're the tough guy on this podcast. What do you think of those two tilts?
It was good. It was great, actually. I love that they happened. Nurse held his own against a very tough Lucic. Don't see too many of those heavier weight battles anymore. So that was fun. And I love that James Neal, was at the end of the shift with Tkachuk. But Tkachuk run around there a little bit, and James Neal goes and is a veteran player, answers the bell, and does, it's not like either of them, I think, beat the tar out of each other, but it was still nice to see. So I was happy with it. Happy James Neal stepped up, and I don't know, maybe you guys can comment on this, because I'm always obviously biased because I always maybe pay more attention after the fights. But do you feel like those two fights helped change the mentality of the Oilers for the rest of the game? Because I feel like they did, but I always like getting other people's opinions.
Go ahead, Gager.
Definitely. Sometimes not doing well in a fight does more for a team than doing quite well in a fight. I mean, for Nurse to go up against Lucic, and we saw how he was kind of manhandled a little bit, but still did quite well. That fires up your team as well. I mean, and then Neil taking on Tkachuk, where you don't expect him to do something like that. That I thought that it really, going into the next period, the Oilers looked like a different team, whereas Calgary didn't. There was like, oh, what's going to happen with this game? Is this game going to turn into one of those types of games? And I felt the Oilers were way more prepared to have a game like that than Calgary was at that point. I think that's one of the reasons why they went and got Sutter, is to provide a little bit more. I don't know how you put it, but a little more fire in the belly, so to speak, with their play from each individual player.
Did you guys like Calgary, like in that first period, like 22 shots, I think they had over 20 hits, like they came to play. But what I liked, and I know Cass probably appreciates it, like after the fight between Nurse and Lucic, they both pat each other like, we're buddies, we needed to do this. And I just love that respect sometimes, like I don't think you see it as much as you did before, but I thought that pat by Nurse and Lucic after that scrap was pretty cool.
With Lucic, and you guys mentioned kind of like Nurse is a strong dude too, but Lucic has this power behind him. Cass, you're a big guy, so I don't know if you fought many guys who had a significant power advantage over you. I'm not talking from like punching, but from like dictating how a fight's going to go. If you're Nurse in that situation again, I mean, can you really do it any differently, or is that one of those situations where you hang on, you try to hit him with a couple of shots, and that's it?
Yeah, you got to try to time it when you're fighting someone that's bigger. I don't think I ever was in that scenario where there was someone that was that much bigger or stronger than me. It was, I was big and strong. So
you're Thanos. It's all right. Just say it.
Yeah. No, I was typically the one to control that in a fight, and so for Nurse in that scenario, he's got two options. He can either try to sit back and time what he's doing, or he tries to close the distance and have it be a technical in type fight. Now, I don't think Nurse is super comfortable doing that. Like, he likes to try to sit back because usually he is the stronger guy fighting guys that maybe are a little bit weaker or not as reachy and rangy as he is. So I think he did okay in that. Hold himself well against a guy that still is really big and strong and lengthy as well. So I'm fine with the way that he tried to approach that. Just from a how am I fighting this guy overall? He did just fine. He was okay.
Cass, reconnect. Your audio went a little clicky on me there, so just click back in. I think it was just a random. Just click back in, and hopefully your audio is going to be good. This is kind of like in the fight game. So Marshall and Elizabeth obviously didn't stay up with the 8:00 puck drop, but the next morning, I go down NHL.com and I go to the condensed game. I said, we're going to watch the game. And Marshall's like, oh, man, like, what happened last night? I said, well, Connor McDavid, let's wait and see. And then I said, and there was a big fight. Lucic fought Nurse, and James Neal fought the Turtle. And so he's all fired up. We watched the 8.5-minute condensed game, and they don't show any of the fights. They don't have the fights involved in there at all. And Cass made a good point. Like, it was a big part of that hockey game. It shouldn't. I understand that's where we're at now here in 2021 or whatever. It shouldn't fire me up, but it did. Like, I was just pissed off that they took out a big part of the hockey game like that. To me, that's bullshit. I know they probably have to do it from like a legal perspective now or something, but I don't know, man. I don't like that.
It's the one thing when that happened, I was thinking, gosh, could you imagine with that late start what that arena would sound like? I could probably hear it from my house, and I do think there's really something missing with hockey right now, and that's the fan aspect of it all. That would have blown the roof completely off that building if we had people in the stands for that one. That would have been something special to be at for sure.
Cass, does it make you sad when they take the fight highlights out of the game?
Yeah, of course it does. Why wouldn't it make me sad?
Well, I just think sad. I was wondering if sad was the emotion, or does it make you angry? Or I just feel like as a guy who did that for a living, it's got to be like, damn it, they won't even show two huge moments in that game.
No, yeah, I think sad is an accurate one. Just kind of, if there were fans in the stands and those fights happened, like, I'm really sure people would just stay in their seats with their butts in the seats and no one would really pay attention. And people that were on their way up the aisle to go get a coffee would, just not watch and turn around to see what's going on. They would walk back to the stands and or to get their coffee, and no one would pay attention to anything. So yeah, it's sad. Like, I get you don't want to have it be the only story of the game, but it's part of the story of the game. So don't glorify it. Don't make it be, the only thing that you're talking about, but it certainly is part of it. So why not just have it be a part of it and just, I don't know. It's a little annoying, but that's me, in my opinion.
That's a good way to lay it out there. All right, we got to talk about it here on episode 123 of the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast. And Hernan, let's start with you, buddy. What do we got to talk about?
Yeah, just you kind of saw the shuffle on Saturday night. The big boys were back together and throw Yamamoto on that line. And then I know today we're going to see Leon with McDavid and Yamo, and then Nuge centering JP and Ennis. So it's funny because I know the head coach, when we all wanted the dry line, he said, we can't be a one-line team. Well, that's what you're doing right now, unless that second line. And listen, I'm intrigued by it. I think you got a lot of skill on that line. You got the big body in Puyarvi. You got the two-way guy in Nuge, and then you got he's kind of slick. He's got some slick skill in Tyler Ennis. So I'm intrigued by that line, but I enjoy watching Draisaitl and McDavid because they're so good together, and it's just amazing. Like his pass on Saturday, Draisaitl was unreal, and then McDavid's goal. So I'm excited to see it, but it's like, aren't you going back on the whole argument for the dry line where you were a one-line team? So I just want to get your guys' thoughts. I'm intrigued by that second line. I'm excited. I'm always excited to watch Dry and McDavid play together, but what do you guys think about these new lines in the top six?
I mean, who doesn't like Connor and Leon together? It's an awesome pairing, but I think he likes to go to the blender. Sometimes he puts the magic bullet on a little too fast for me at times. Doesn't let things develop a little bit. Nice to know you have that round in the chamber if things aren't going well. Ride them till she bucks you. I mean, if these guys, if they're producing and you're winning, how can you not keep them together? But yeah, it doesn't make sense if that one line was so effective for such a long period of time. Why wouldn't you put that bullet in the chamber too and let that go? Because I mean, you did put them together for one game and they did score the only goal. That's true. Right? So it does that line does work as well. I guess it's just a matter of hopefully finding someone else besides Leon or Nuge that Connor plays with and I guess consistently scores with to be able to go back to that. I don't know, but yeah, let's see what those two the awesomeness that they can create tonight. I'm excited for that.
This is my conclusion on this: is that Connor McDavid is calling the shots on the line combinations. It's not Dave Tippett that's deciding the line combinations. It is Connor McDavid that is deciding the line combinations. And I say that because they will load up a line with McDavid and Draisaitl, but as Hernan said, they won't load up a line with Yamamoto, Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Like, they won't give us our nudie line. And the one game that you give it, we have it. Not only do they score, but you're basically walking away from the game going, well, look, we couldn't find a place for Connor, and Connor wasn't comfortable. And it's like, well, no kidding, he wasn't comfortable. You just played him with like 30 different players over the course of one game. Like, you didn't give him a chance at having any consistency with who he's on the ice. He was with the third line, then he was with the first line, then he was with the fourth line, then you started mixing those lines up. Like, I don't even know if he was on the ice with the same pairing twice in the whole game. And that's not that you can't find someone to try him with, that's that you refuse to let him actually play with someone on there. So it baffles me. I'm happy they have the nuclear option, and when things are going poorly and your offense is dried up, which it has, or did, they've struggled with it the last couple of games. By all means, put Draisaitl and McDavid on the line. It's the same concept if you're down a couple goals late, like put them on the line, get them on the ice, get something going. I totally get it. If you want to keep it for a couple of games, sure, I get it. Same thing. You want to get guys going again, particularly those two, and if it gives them a chance to, get some points, get that offense going, get the momentum going, get the confidence back, 100% for it. Go for it. But, after this, don't tell me, I don't want to hear any more about the, we don't want to have only just stack up on one line and we look at all the possible combinations and this and that, because it's just not true. Like, you're just giving it lip service. Just come out and say it. Connor doesn't want to play with anyone but the Nuge or Draisaitl. And he's unhappy with, if he doesn't have one of those two on his line. That is the only thing at this point that makes sense. And if one of you guys disagree with me, you're wrong. Because that's it. This isn't Dave Tippett's lines. No. It is Connor McDavid that is saying, this is who I want to play with. This is what's going to happen. And, he may not be drawing a line in the sand, but he probably goes to Tippett and saying, no, this is how it's going to be. This is what I want. So maybe showing a little bit more personality behind the scenes than we see in front of the media.
He has the wet eraser and just comes in. Usually when you walk into the
absolutely
room, like the board's up, and a lot of times you'll walk in and the practice lines are set up there, so they're written down. So Connor just comes in and wipes that one off, and then just puts in there. I had a guy in the minors that used to do that. The coach would put up the practice lines, and he would go, because he was a grinder guy, but then he would erase someone like our top scorer's name and put him on his line and put him up with the top line. And our coach would come in and just go, yeah, there'd be some expletives, but it was pretty funny.
Even if I didn't agree with you, Cass, I don't think I would tell you, because you're pretty fired up right now. But I do agree with you, because I'm under the belief that that's the only explanation. It's the only explanation. If you sit here for the whole year and say, got to have two scoring lines, boom, McDavid, Draisaitl, and not even McDavid and Draisaitl, but also Yamamoto. I mean, you could, if you really wanted to build a solid second line, I know some people in Finland have tweeted that Puljujarvi can play the left side. So you could go Nuge, Yamamoto, and then Jesse Puljujarvi on his off wing on that second line. And that would give that line a pretty good chance. And then you can put Gager out of retirement playing forward on the right side with Draisaitl and McDavid. Like, I think if you truly want two scoring lines, I think there'd be other ways to still go about it. It's just, I don't know. It's weird to me. It's weird.
No, it's not weird. It's Connor McDavid with the eraser on the whiteboard. Like, that is it. Again, it's not, anytime we go to, Dave Tippett maybe has leeway now to make tweaks in the game, but like from a line standpoint, but those top two lines, that is all Connor McDavid. That is it. He's the one making those decisions.
Okay, so best player in the league. Is it a good thing or a bad thing that he has that much power if he does?
Both. It's good because you want him to be comfortable and you want him to have leeway to do things like that because he's the best player in the world. But the bad thing is when everybody else, almost everybody else on the planet, looks and sees how good that second line was. And it's a situation that, maybe makes him think he's not going to have the best success. That he's gonna kibosh something that is the best line in the league, or that was the best line in the league. We don't know anymore because they don't play together.
They don't. You're right. All right. If you're watching the live stream and you want to comment, feel free. I'll watch for some comments there. If you have any questions, if you agree with Cass, disagree with Cass, or anything along those lines, we've got a ton to talk about. This was a great weekend in the National Hockey League. Since the last time we spoke, Sutter has taken over as the head coach of the Calgary Flames. Gager, what do we got to talk about, buddy?
What type of branding stick Sutter's going to use on his players for the Sutter Ranch that the Flames are going? There's going to be so many Yellowstone similarities, I think, here. So I don't know. Is Johnny Gaudreau going to get the brand, or is he going to give it to him and rip it?
Blasty the horse, right on the chest.
Yeah. So Cass hasn't seen it. I gotta watch what I say here. But no, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what Sutter does with what happens in Calgary. I think over the last few years, we've seen Calgary be a good team, but when it matters most, it seems like a lot of those guys disappear, and they don't have that same type of that truculence in the playoffs that is required at times, I guess. I want to see how Monahan does. I want to see Johnny Gaudreau. I want to see how they respond to maybe a little bit more tough love. I was listening to a few people talking about possible trades, but I don't think you can see that just because, especially if you were going to trade to a U.S. team, the turnaround time is just far too long to get that asset back. And teams in Canada aren't going to help you out because aside from possibly Ottawa, everyone's trying to make it into the playoffs. So no one's looking to, they're looking to give you an anchor, not something to help you. But if you look back to the old teams of Sutter, and trying to see, especially the old Calgary team, can Markstrom be like a Kiprusoff? I really like Markstrom. Watching him the other night, I thought he looked real good. I didn't see last night's game, but he does a lot of things really well and I don't think we've seen the best from him yet. But I know I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that type of coach going into that situation where kind of seems like those guys have had free reign for a while, and things are really going to change here pretty quickly.
It was funny when Lucic, the first presser out there, said "buckle up," like he's had them right, like
yeah,
he knows. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, we always look to the top two guys there, and Sean Monahan and Johnny Gaudreau, and how they're going to respond to a guy like Daryl Sutter. And I know the broadcast on Saturday after Calgary's first period, they had 19 hits and 22 shots. Said they know Daryl's watching. So I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what he does with the lines. There's been a lot. Jeff Ward was shuffling the lines quite a bit there. I still think their D-core's pretty good. And like Gager said, Markstrom's a hell of a goaltender, and they got a really good backup in Rittich. So how much can he change this team? Maybe outside of just the way they approach games and the way he holds people accountable. But yeah, it's good. I'll say this, not only for Dusty's show, but for everybody. Daryl Sutter back in the NHL is a good thing.
It's a great thing, especially right here, like as the other side of the Battle of Alberta. Are you kidding me? This is incredible. Yeah. We had fun with him when he was in LA. This is even better. Cass, can a flip be switched that quickly with a guy like Sutter coming in, or does it take time?
Yeah, I think so. I think you get with a guy like Sutter, so an old school coach, modern game, modern kids. You have 9 to 12 months. If you were Sutter, that is your lifespan here as a coach. I think you got 9 to 12 months. The first couple months here, towards the end of the season, he's going to squeeze and he's going to get more out of the group. And then next year, he's going to squeeze. At the start of the year, he's going to get a bunch out. And then mid-season, I think you start seeing it sputter a little bit. And then towards the end of the year, I think guys start to get tired of the message. I don't think, unless he adapts, I will say, if he goes in with the same message it's always been with Sutter, then you have 9 to 12 months. If he manages to temper it a little bit or to tweak it for modern young players like a Gaudreau, he might get a little bit longer out of them. But I think at that 9 to 12 months, that's when players start to tune those coaches out. But he's going to get a lot out of them the rest of the way. Like if you're looking for a guy to step in and to be on top of players and to, as Lucic said, to force everyone to buckle up. Well, you're gonna get it out of guys. I don't see it lasting over the long term. And that was the one thing that surprised me with this deal was that it wasn't like just for the rest of the year, or it wasn't a 2-year deal. Like the third year was what surprised me. Like the rest of the year, okay, 2 years. So for the next, okay, he wants some job certainty to get him away from the farm. But the third year in it, that was a little bit surprising to me to see him come out for that, or that Calgary would offer him it. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Certainly, if they play the way they did in that first period and they play that way consistently, it's going to lead to a little bit of more of what we saw with Darnell Nurse and Lucic, and what we saw with James Neal and Tkachuk, because that's just the style of play that he demands.
Well, cows cost a lot. From I saw in Yellowstone, they're expensive, and he's got to pay his rip probably back in Viking to take care of things. So,
somebody's got to look after the ranch.
Yeah, someone's got to do that. So yeah.
Quick question here. I'll throw you guys' way. RCN on Twitter says Johnny Gaudreau will thrive. Monahan won't last. When you look at these types of players, you can throw in Tkachuk as well. Like, who do you think benefits the most from Sutter coming in?
Tkachuk will be fine.
Yeah,
he's gonna love Tkachuk.
Yeah.
The Gaudreau and Monahan.
I'd almost flip what that listener threw out there. I'd almost flip it. I think Monahan will thrive. And
because Monahan has a physical part to his game.
Yeah,
it's there. But Gaudreau's Sutter wants everyone playing the same way. And I'm not saying Johnny goes out there and starts crushing guys, but there has to be some sort of aggressiveness on the other side of the puck that I don't think you see that much. And I truly think that Sutter demands that from everybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
I just can't wait to see how this plays out. We played the clip this morning of Sutter saying that he looks at it like a treasure map, and the players are all these red dots, and he has to connect them properly to get to the treasure. So Sutter's already coming out of the gate hot. I love it. I think it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for the next Battle of Alberta. And what is it? They get 3 against Ottawa, Vancouver, and then 2 against Calgary, right? So it's coming up, baby. I can't wait. It's going to be great. All right, couple of things to get to still for we got to talk about it. I'll go next. We got to talk about the slew-foot as Kyler Yamamoto fined for a slew-foot in the Battle of Alberta on Saturday night. Cass, I want to start with you, buddy. Where does the slew-foot rank among, the dirty coward plays in all of hockey? Maybe not just at the National Hockey League level.
It's pretty dirty. I mean,
right?
It's right up there with what Ovechkin did. Like the spear to the nuts is pretty bad. And slew-foots are pretty bad because there's not, as a player, like you can't really do anything about it. Like, what do you can't, like,
you're usually unsuspecting, really right? You don't expect it. It's not coming.
You're unsuspecting. And, the other part of it is it does just from a momentum standpoint, it's like your head's going back towards the ice, and that can be dangerous. So it's pretty dirty. I love Yamamoto. I wasn't a huge fan of the play. Probably a testament to some of his frustration and the Oilers' frustration over the last couple of games, but yeah, it wasn't a good look.
Gage, did you ever slew-foot anybody standing in front of your crease?
Yeah, but I caught their head. I made sure they didn't hurt their head.
You know what? Nice. Goalies were the worst. Goalies did that all the time. Actually, they were always trying to kick, like with their pads. They're trying to kick the back of your feet.
I would disguise it enough just to kick the one leg a little bit, and then they'd give it the whoop, 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 and then. But the Yamamoto thing, I liked it and disliked it. I didn't like it because, like Cass said, it's a dangerous play because a guy's it comes at a time when you're quite vulnerable, and because you're not expecting it, and then trying to catch yourself where you can and you're. Skate can get caught in the ice, your knee twists, you go back and hit your head. Like there's a lot of things that can take you out for a few games. But I did like the fact that it does show that Yamamoto is has that level of getting that pissed off to do something and take care of himself. I mean, if you a lot of times you compare the two of Gaudreau and Yamo, and who do you find is a more aggressive type of player? I would put Yamamoto way ahead of Gaudreau at this time, as he is as effective as Gaudreau. Not yet, but I think there is a possibility he could get to a level like that. But I like the aggressiveness. I didn't like the play.
Yeah, I think anytime somebody slew-foot somebody, it should be a game. That's it. You slew-foot somebody, you get a game suspension. It's just, there's no reason to have it in the game. Outside of the push in the back from 2.5 feet away from the boards when you know the dude's already stumbling. I mean, it's just taking advantage of somebody in a vulnerable position kind of, it frustrates me a little bit. So speaking of taking advantage of people in vulnerable positions, Cass, 7 games, Tom Wilson, what do we got to talk about, buddy?
Repeat offender status. How much do you think? I know they certainly weighed into that, but how much of this was purely because it's Tom Wilson? So I guess what I want to talk about is I want to hear from you guys. If this was Kyler Yamamoto that had the exact same hit, or a Jesse Puljujarvi, Dusty, that had the exact same hit, how many games are they getting?
None. I honestly, I don't think they get any.
Yeah,
I don't think they get any. I mean, because you look at it, and apparently his repeat offender status was out the window because it'd been long enough that it didn't qualify under the using it to.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Exactly. What they say.
Officially, it's out of it, but it doesn't.
They're looking to get Tom Wilson.
Offenders,
right.
Right. It's they. You still know it's Tom Wilson versus somebody else.
If you look at it, Saravalli broke it down. I know Frank had a tweet over the weekend that got ratioed hard. He had like 1,000 replies. He was texting me. Some people are like, "You effing donkey! Like you don't know anything here." But he made a good point. They didn't suspend him for a headshot. They actually made this the first suspension in NHL history that was boarding and not from behind. It was the first ever boarding that wasn't from behind that was suspended because it wasn't technically a headshot. I think he got a piece of his head, but I thought he kind of exploded through his chest and then went up, got a piece of the head, but then the head kind of went against the boards, and that's where I think the damage came from. So my biggest question through all of this, and so I think they're like, we got to suspend Tom Wilson because it's Tom Wilson. We got to find a way to do it. Okay, we found a way to do it. Now let's hit him with 7. My biggest thing is, what should Tom Wilson have done, Cass? Because in my opinion, he should have just stopped. I mean, I don't know how he could have hit him in any different way.
If the head isn't the principal point of contact, and it's like on a he hits and slides, it shouldn't be a suspension. That's a guy putting himself in a vulnerable position that takes a clean hit that gets absolutely run over. Like that's not a guy whose back is to you, 1.5 feet, 3 feet away from the boards that you just absolutely bury from behind. Like that's different than this, in my opinion. So the whole reason it's a suspension at all is because it's Tom Wilson, and I have an issue with that. I have an issue that you're going to treat these players differently than that, because if Alexander Ovechkin were to do the same thing, he's getting 0 games for blowing somebody up like that. And I understand, in the league, you want to protect your star players. You want to keep your star players on the ice because they're the ones that are watching. I get that, but now you just, I don't know. It cheapens suspensions. It cheapens actual, like when real things happen. And to me, it just cheapens how I feel the player safety department or what their actual process is. And I just don't like it. Like, it just goes against my sense of fairness and equity, where I'm just like, okay, like now you're basically, because this guy's got some stuff that happened before that you're not even supposed to consider based on your own rules, and you're going to try to throw the book at him to make an example of him. I don't know. It bothers me, Dusty. It bothers me.
It bothers me as well, because if you look at, remember earlier in the season, Dylan Dubé popped Jesperi Kotkaniemi behind the net and like lunged himself up into his head, did not get a penalty, did not get a suspension. That was, to me, that was significantly worse than the actual hit that Tom Wilson made, and Wilson got 7 bloody games. So it's weird, because I don't want to be that guy that defends Tom Wilson, because he does go out there and he tries to take advantage of things. But in this situation, I'm not sure it was worth 7. I just don't think so. I mean, yeah,
but
it's frustrating.
Here's the thing with Tom Wilson. There are times he takes advantage of people and dirty. Like, we could call it that at times. Like, some of the stuff that's happened, we could say, yeah, that was dirty. But can you really truly sit and say that this was like an incredibly, insanely, ridiculously dirty play? Or is he just timing for a big hit because he helps his team win games with his physicality? And he makes it hard for other teams to play against him. And last time I checked, body checking is still part of the rules.
For now.
Like, you're still allowed. So if he's operating within the rules, he doesn't do anything Like it's not a headshot. He's operating inside of the rules. It's not a charge. He plants his feet before, doesn't leave his feet, doesn't jump. He basically catches a guy that's turning a corner with his head buried, that puts himself in a horrible position, and then we're going to throw the book at him. So how about this? What should happen is give Wilson 4 games, and I guess he's going to be out because he's banged up a little bit. But like split the suspension between the player that's hitting and the player that's hit, because it was a clean hit, and it's stupid. So I don't know. I think you have rules for a reason, and then you have your guidelines, even with suspensions, for a reason, and then you all of a sudden take them out and just basically make something up. I don't know. It really bothers me, Dusty. It bothers my sense of justice and fairness. It's annoying.
Well, buddy, like I said, first ever boarding suspension that wasn't a hit from behind also. So they found a way. Hernan, Gage, sorry, Cass and I got carried away. You guys got anything left to add to that or what?
I was just going to add that the player safety department, like they're under so much pressure because they're so hit and miss. Like you never know what's a suspension, what's a fine. So you knew when you saw this hit that they were going to throw the book at Tom Wilson just to make people happy. And I agree with Cass. That's not the right way to do things. But I think just under the pressure they're on, because they never know what, like the Brett Pesce slew-foot. That was bad. Slew-foot. And he got fined. So it's like you never know what's a suspension, what's not. So they saw Tom Wilson and they're like, we have to throw the book at this guy because we're going to come after it under attack if we don't, right? Is that right? No, but and I agree with you guys. I watched it over and over, and I was watching it while you guys were talking, and his first point of contact is his chest, and he just rides up and gets him in the head after, right?
What zone was it in? Was it in the offensive zone?
It was an offensive zone. He was coming in on like a forecheck.
So it's the goalie's fault.
That too, yeah. Didn't yell at him.
Well, Brandon was tied up. They were tied up a little bit further away from the net. It wasn't like he was swooping around, right? So.
Yeah, but the goalie's got to say, "Look out, guys on the bench!" Like, and how do you not know you're playing against Tom Wilson? That's another thing. I remember we were at a banquet and Mike Pekka was talking, and he was talking about how great he felt because a guy on the other team, he could see him turn around and goes, "Watch out for that guy on the ice," because if you had your head down, Mike Pekka would blow you up if he got the chance. Like, you have to be more aware of who you're playing against at times too. But
absolutely. Like I may have talked about him before, but Francis Lessard, old Frankie Lessard, was a guy that in the minors was like that all the time. He played, I think, games with Atlanta. He may have played some with Florida too. I can't remember. But he was like really fast in straight lines, and he would just try to run guys. And so every time he's on the ice, the whole bench and the goaltender is always yelling just to make sure your defenseman or whoever was in the corners, like, you knew he was coming. You had to be aware of it. And Tom Wilson is the same thing. And yeah, do you think, you know what? Sorry, this just occurred to me. What probably happened, even, I don't even know if I want to put this on George Peros and the group that hands out the suspensions, is our buddy Uncle Gary probably called them and said, he had to go to the hospital. We better make this look like we care, like publicly. Otherwise, it looks like we don't care. And so they throw the book at him even more, which is also frustrating to me. Like, here's a question. If I'm a forward and I wind up and I'm at the hash marks and I rip a slap shot directly at the goalie's head and it hits him and he gets a concussion and has to go to the hospital, are you going to suspend me for that?
Yes.
Like, it's just
keep it down. Keep it down.
But you make a great point, Cass, because I was going to say, I think Carlo ending up in the hospital adds to it, right? I think if he, let's just say he came back in the game or he was just in the room and he was fine, but they kicked him out for precautionary reasons, is it 7 games?
No.
Thing is, Tom Wilson, there's not a team in the league that wouldn't want that guy on their team, too. It's not like he's a bad player. Like, he's a good player. A really good player. He's a unbelievable
you know what? You know what, guys? The second that if there were fans in the stands and Tom Wilson gets on the ice, all the fans, they just stop watching, and that's the time that they have conversation with one another. And you know what? No one really likes hits anymore. Like, only skill plays no one cheers for anything. Like if someone has a big hit, like no one gets excited. You never seen anyone, ooh and ah and like or cheer or clap if there's a hit. Everyone just kind of that's the time they're checking their texts. Yeah. I'm just gonna check my texts.
How about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the Tumblrs and the Twitters and the Twitches and the TikToks and do my things.
I want to see you on TikTok, Cass. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Hernan, did you say the Connor Murphy hit?
The Tanev
Oh, the Tanev hit, yeah.
Cal Turris.
That was a good hit too.
Yeah,
great. Sucks for tourists, but that's a good hit.
Yeah, that was a good hit. All right, let's get to Keep It or Clip It here on the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast, brought to you by CoolBet. Stay cool, bet responsibly with CoolBet Canada. If you have any questions about CoolBet, you can hit me up on Twitter at Nielson TSN 1260, or you can find Chris Abbott at CoolBet Chris with a K. If you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Here we go, boys. Question number 1. McDavid and Draisaitl will combine for at least 6 points tonight. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it. Why not? Have some fun. Nuclear option.
Yeah, I'm betting heavy. I'm betting heavy on those two today. I think they're gonna go crazy. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna clip it then, so you guys can make some money.
Thank you, Gager. We needed that.
Thank you, Gage.
I was on McDavid over 1.5 combined with a Maple Leafs win on Saturday night, and the Maple Leafs lost to the Canucks for a second time in a row. You idiots. All right, question number 2. Let's go with this one. Two Guys and a Goalie, as part of the podcast, we should get a brand. We should get a Two Guys and a Goalie brand right on our chest. Who's in for it? Keep it or clip it?
I'll keep it. I think, as you know, I like to go shirtless lots of the time. So, yeah, I'll show the brand for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll.
You're on the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast? I didn't know that, Gager.
Yeah.
But if I leave, are you gonna ask for it back?
We'll get that logo right there, branded on all of our chests.
Yeah, just like Cass, I'm in season 1 of Yellowstone.
Good.
It's fantastic. Like amazing. I would do it. Thug life, man. Depends where. Yeah.
I'm gonna clip it because if Rashog started a podcast and wanted me to be on it, I would bail on you guys so fast.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Sell you guys straight out.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you wait till you get to season 2.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you.
We're gonna brand you, and then I'm gonna come get it back. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna come get it back. Yeah, that'll be good.
The train station.
Yeah. Cass, have you heard about the train station?
Yeah, I saw that part.
Okay, you saw
I saw the train
part?
station. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good
yet.
part. Anyway, Hernan, the train station isn't a train station. If you know what I mean. No spoiler alert. You'll be all right. All right, let's go with this one. Johnny Gaudreau will outlast Daryl Sutter in Calgary. Keep it or clip it. Who's there longer?
Ooh, good question.
Good question, right?
Clip it. I think he's as soon as he's allowed to be traded, I think he's done.
I'm with Gager. I don't see little Johnny Hockey there outlasting Daryl Sutter, so I'll clip it as well.
I'll keep it because Sutter's a lot easier to replace.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. All right. There you go. All right. Final one. Where is it? Oh, here it is. The Oilers' biggest need prior to the deadline is a top 4 left shot D-man. Keep it or clip it. Sorry to ask the most difficult of questions here, guys. If you're watching the live stream, there's a lot of you right now. Subscribe to the podcast. Two Guys and Goalie.
Clip it. It's too weird a season. It wouldn't make sense. They couldn't do it, so clip it.
Cass, you can go.
I'm gonna keep it, but there's no way they get it addressed.
Yeah, that's probably the right answer.
Sorry, Hernan.
No, I agree with Gager. It's such a weird season. That's the only reason. So yeah, clip it.
This This is one I was going to go with, but since I just wanted to ask you guys if I know most people are saying the Oilers needed a goalie or something like this. If Mike Smith is 26 years old, are we talking about the Oilers needing a goalie or not?
I don't think so.
If Mike Smith was 26 years old and he had the same style he has today, I would be worried.
Yeah, but looking how much he makes and how his stats right now are phenomenal. Like,
And at 26, he was pretty damn good. Like he was on Canada.
But I think a lot has to do with his age, doesn't it? It's ageism. I'm just for the aging goalies out there. That's
you want him back next season, don't you?
Are you already
my men's
campaigning
league team kicked me
for
off
next year?
Yeah, no, he's good. He's good for us. Just for my men's league team. I can't play in the NHL. Don't worry about that. But I think I'm getting kicked off my men's league team. So
What? How's that happening? What's going on, buddy?
I don't know. They're going young. I think they're moving in a different direction, Dusty. So
Oh no.
and my wife's looking at me too. She might be going in a different direction too. So we'll see. Yeah, she's nodding right now.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'm gonna need all three of you guys in my backyard for the whole afternoon. The rink, I had the tarp on for the whole weekend, and the tarp kind of melted down onto the ice, so the ice is wavy right now, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I am very much rattled because it's nice and we could skate on it today, but we can't because it's too damn wavy. So I got to fix these waves. I don't know how. I've got like 9 different people texting me. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but what I do know,
you know what you do,
is that
Dusty?
we're gonna be skating in April.
Go get yourself. Go to the office and take all the fire extinguishers out, and then blast it with the fire extinguisher every once in a while just to freeze it up.
Good idea. I will do that. Anybody else have an idea?
I was gonna say go get some rollerblades.
No way. My kids are skating by Thursday. I got 2 days to figure out these waves. Gager, A Chippa on Twitter is offering you 5 beers per game to be the goalie for their rec league team.
Is that in between the ice clean? So it's 10 overall? Is that? we gotta simplify that.
You gotta play Gager. Come on.
All right.
Oh, I do better like that. Trust me.
That's going to do it for episode 123, Shot Colin Connor. Let's go with that one for the episode today. I thought Cass was very fired up about that. That was great. Boys, enjoy the next couple of games. We will be back on Thursday and recap 2 games against the Ottawa Senators, and obviously probably talk about a new top 6. So we'll do that as well. For Gager and Cass and Hernan, I'm Nielson. Thank you to CoolBet for sponsoring. Thank you for downloading. We appreciate it. Boys, we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Bye, guys.